नमस्कार। और आप सभी का आज के सत्र में बहुत प्रेम के साथ स्वागत है। तो आज का कार्यक्रम हम लोगों ने सोचा कि बहुत ही अनौपचारिक या इनफॉर्मल रखेंगे ताकि हम कुछ चीज़ों की चर्चा कर सकें। तो ये जो जीवन यात्रा है, इसमें लोगों का मत ऐसा होता है कि संसार अलग है और अध्यात्म अलग है। लेकिन असली बात यह है कि संसार और अध्यात्म दोनों एक दूसरे से इस तरह से जुड़े हुए हैं कि इनसेपरेबल हैं। एक के बिना दूसरे की कल्पना नहीं की जा सकती। तो यदि अध्यात्म और संसार दोनों एक दूसरे से जुड़े हुए हैं, तो कौन कौन से ऐसे पहलू हैं जो कि हमारे अध्यात्म में भी उतना ही महत्व रखते हैं जितना इस संसार में रखते। तो उसमें से पहली चीज जो दिमाग में आएगी सबके, वो है कि हमारा शरीर। तो हमारा शरीर के साथ हमारा संबंध क्या है? हम में से कितने लोग हैं जो कि नित्य ऐसा कुछ कर रहे हैं जिसके कारण शरीर के साथ उनका संबंध बना रहे या तारतम्य बना रहे? तो हम अपने यहाँ मेरी अपनी जान पहचान में मैं जिसको देखता हूँ वो हेमा है। काफी दिनों से योगा कर रही हैं। तो मैं हेमा से ही एक रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि वो योग करने से, आसन करने से क्या परिवर्तन हुआ है, शरीर के साथ क्या संबंध में परिवर्तन आया है, या शरीर के बारे में उनकी समझ में क्या अंतर आया है, इसके बारे में कुछ बताएं हेमा जी। और ये बिल्कुल इनफॉर्मल है, तो किसी की कोई तैयारी नहीं है, हम ऐसे ही कुछ बात करेंगे।
सबको नमस्ते। तो मेरी स्कूल में जरूर योगा किया था, लेकिन अभी जो योगा की जर्नी शुरू हुई वो 2018 में बम्बई आने के बाद शुरू हुई। और योगा करते हुए कहने को यहाँ पे 3 साल हो गए हैं, लेकिन लॉकडाउन बीच में तो 1.5-2 साल का ही वो रहा। लेकिन मन में कोई ऐसा नहीं था कि मुझे वेट लॉस करना है या मुझे कुछ और करना है। बस ऐसा था कि योगा करना है। और ऐसा होता है कि योगा शरीर के एक एक पार्ट पे काम करना शुरू करता है। हम ऐसा सोचें कि पूरे शरीर में एकदम से काम करता है, वो नहीं करता है। वो पहले सबसे हल्की चीज को पकड़ेगा, फिर धीरे धीरे जो लेडीज का, जैसे जब मैंने अपने शरीर के बारे में समझा है, जो पेट का एरिया है वो सबसे आखिरी में पकड़ा उसने, और अब जाके वहां पे काम हो रहा है। तो अब जब मैं अपने पेट को हाथ लगाती हूँ तो मैं बोलती हूँ ये वो पेट है ही नहीं जिस पेट को मैं हाथ लगाती थी, क्योंकि अब वो पेट कड़क हो गया है। तो कई बार ऐसा होता है यार, पेट में मसल बन रही है। अब सिर्फ योगा करने से, हम कोई स्ट्रेनुअस चीज नहीं करते, लेकिन सारा का सारा ब्रीदिंग का खेल है योगा में। और मेरी टीचर कृपा है जो बहुत अच्छी मिली है, और वो मेरे शरीर को बहुत अच्छे से समझ गई हैं। और उनका ये योगदान ये रहा है कि जब भी मैं कोई आसन करती थी तो वो मेरे से पूछती थी स्ट्रेस कहाँ पे आ रहा है इस समय। तो मैं अगर उसको बोलूं कि नी पे आ रहा है, बोली नहीं, नी पे तो बिल्कुल नहीं आने का है, इसका मतलब आप गलत कर रहे हो। तो वो जो हमेशा हर आसन में कान में ऐसा पूछती थी, अब कहाँ पे स्ट्रेस आ रहा है, यहाँ पे आ रहा है तो बोलेगी नहीं यहाँ पे नहीं आना है, ये इस डिग्री पे आना चाहिए। और योगा में ऐसे ऐसे आसन हैं और ऐसे ऐसे आपके पोस्चर्स हैं जो आपके शरीर को 360 डिग्री से देखते हैं। इट इज नॉट कि अरे हाथ है तो हाथ पतला होना है, नहीं। पहले वो हाथ के इस लाइन पे काम होता है, फिर हाथ के इस लाइन पे काम होगा। और ये चीज इतनी खूबसूरत थी मेरे लिए। और मेरी एक हैबिट है, शायद हम में से हम सबकी भी होगी, कि जहां भी योगा में थोड़ा सा भी अगर आपको फोर्स करना है तो ये एकदम से ऐसे हो जाएगा। तो हमेशा ये बोलती थी शोल्डर डाउन, शोल्डर डाउन, गर्दन लूज। तो बोलती थी गर्दन को लिटाओ, अब आसन करो। बहुत मेहनत लगी, और मैं उसको कितनी बार ये बोलती थी कि मुझे व्हाइट बोर्ड पे लिख देना पड़ेगा कल को, गर्दन ढीला छोड़ो, शोल्डर्स ढीले छोड़ो। हमें पता ही नहीं होते हैं कि करेक्ट पोस्चर क्या है किसी चीज का। बैठने का पोस्चर उसने सिखाया कि बैठना कैसे है, और जब हम बैठे रहते हैं तो हिप्स उठा के वो बोलती है कि बैठो, दोनों हिप्स को ऐसे पीछे से उठाओ और अब बैठो, ऐसे ही नहीं बैठ जाओ, तो आपका पोस्चर अपने आप करेक्ट होगा। सो ये, और इस समय जो शरीर है, तो वो कई बार ऐसे बोलती है अब आपका ना अखाड़े वाला शरीर हो गया है, मतलब इफ यू कॉल एनीबडी फॉर मसाजिंग तो वो कहेगा क्या आप उठक पटक करते हो क्या लोगों की। तो क्योंकि मुझे खुद को फील होता है इन 2-1.5 सालों में कि मेरे शरीर में 50 साल के बाद भी परिवर्तन आ गया है और बॉडी चेंज हो गई है। तो ये मेरी योगा की जर्नी रही है सर।
चेंज तो हुआ हेमा, बट अवेयरनेस भी बदल गई कि क्या
बिल्कुल।
चेंज हो रहा है, इसकी अवेयरनेस ज्यादातर
हम्म।
हमको पता नहीं है कि ये शरीर है और
हम्म।
इसमें कहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है। तो जब हम आसन करते हैं तो उसमें जिधर पेन होता है,
जी।
एक्चुअली दैट इज द एरिया वेयर द एनर्जी इज
हम्म।
वर्किंग ऑन। तो उसका अवेयरनेस आती है और उससे हमारे अंदर परिवर्तन आता है।
और
हमारे बीच में हाँ?
सर एक चीज और बोलूंगी, जब हम ऐसे करते हैं तो कई बार ये चीज ऐसे तन जाती थी, तो बोलती थी स्ट्रेस यहाँ नहीं देना है,
हाँ,
इसको ढीला छोड़ो, स्ट्रेस यहाँ दो, क्योंकि बहुत सारी बैलेंसिंग और फ्लेक्सिबिलिटीज के आसन होते हैं जहां आपको बहुत प्रेशर लगता है आपका किसी चीज को पकड़ के रखने का, काउंटिंग करने का। तो धीरे धीरे आता है, एंड यू सी द चेंजेस कि आपकी बॉडी अब कितनी जगह मुड़ सकती है जहां मुड़ती नहीं थी। और एक चीज और है, जो आपने खाने की बात हम कर रहे थे, मैंने ये देखा है जिस दिन मैं शाम के बाद भोजन नहीं करती हूँ, उस दिन जो आसन होते हैं वो कमाल के होते हैं। बाकी दिन ऐसे लगता है मैं शरीर को ढो रही हूँ अपने साथ, इतनी सांस चढ़ती है उस समय। लेकिन शाम के बाद अगर भोजन नहीं किया है, उस दिन अगले दिन के आसन कुछ अलग ही होते हैं। जी सर।
वंडरफुल। एक्चुअली ये जो पॉइंट है कि कुछ कुछ जगहों पर हम बिना जाने जो टेंशन है वो स्टोर करते हैं। तो हर एक आदमी के अपने कुछ फेवरेट स्पॉट्स होते हैं, जहाँ कुछ भी हुआ, कुछ करना हुआ, जहाँ चैलेंज आया तो उस जगह पर वो सेल्स जो है वो उनमें जो स्ट्रेस एक्यूमुलेटेड है वो विजिबल हो जाता है और वहाँ पर प्रेशर आने लगता है। तो जब हम योग में जाते हैं और हमारा टीचर बोलता है कि loosen, loosen, let it go. So it is actually a process of becoming, letting that ego or that anger or that emotional debris which is stored there, it is letting it go. So that is how yoga works on the subtle level. It is not just working on the body. It is not an exercise where only the physical body is involved. It is an exercise where the much work is happening on the pranic body and also the emotional body. ये वाले जो एस्पेक्ट है वो सब इमोशनल बॉडी का एस्पेक्ट। बहुत ही अच्छा। हाँ, नहीं, यू हैव म्यूटेड योरसेल्फ।
सर एक जोक सुनाऊंगी इसमें।
बोलो
अ,
बोलो, आज कुछ भी चलेगा।
तो हाँ चलेगा आज तो। जब when my father was alive, he passed away in 2018, and he was, वो अपने लास्ट डेज पे भी वो दंड मारते थे। he passed away when he was 80. So वो हमेशा मेरे को बोलते थे, क्या why you have put on so much of weight, why don't you make yourself जैसे थे शादी से पहले, ये ऐसे क्यों लटक रहा है मांस इधर से और उधर से। और हम कभी किया कभी नहीं किया, इस कान से सुना उस कान से निकाला। और वो कई बार ऐसे मजाक में बोलते थे, अब तेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, अब नाउ व्हाट यू डू, अब तू कुत्ता पाल। तो दौड़ेगी उसके पीछे तो यू विल रिड्यूस वेट। लेकिन बड़ी आने के, माय पेट डॉग आने के बाद भी कुछ नहीं हुआ। So every time when I do the asanas and I post pictures on Instagram, I remember my father कि ये सब चीजें पापा के जाने के बाद में आज अगर वो होते तो he must have been very proud to see me like this because he was very physically fit man. जी सर।
थैंक यू हेमा। और हमारे बीच में विनय श्रीवास्तव जी मौजूद हैं। वो ज्यादातर तो नहीं लाइव नहीं होते और आज मुझे दिख गए। तो विनय जी, मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि अपनी योगा प्रैक्टिस के बारे में कुछ बताइए।
बहुत बहुत नमस्कार आपको, हेमा जी को, और सभी सभी जितने भी यहाँ लोग मौजूद हैं, सबको मैं प्रणाम करता हूँ। योगा की बात जो है वो एक्चुअली मेरा मेरा बहुत ही प्रिय विषय रहा है वो शुरू से ही। और आप भी रहे एकेडमी में, मसूरी एकेडमी में, तो अक्सर वहाँ से योगा के लिए शिवानंद आश्रम ऋषिकेश से एक स्वामी जी आते थे, स्वामी अध्यात्मानंद, पता नहीं आपको याद है कि नहीं याद है। और वो अध्यात्मानंद के साथ बैठ करके मेरे अंदर जो है योगा के प्रति जो है काफी इंटरेस्ट जग गया। तो ये घटना है 1977 की, 1977, और तब से जो है वो मैं कंटिन्यूस जो उन्होंने मुझको सिखाया, विशेषकर सूर्य नमस्कार, वो सूर्य नमस्कार में बराबर करता है। और साथ में उन्होंने जो हमको कुछ और भी आसन सिखाए, छोटे मोटे आसन, बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट आसन नहीं थे, लेकिन वो आसन में बराबर करता रहा, साथ में प्राणायाम भी करता रहा। और शायद मेरा ख्याल है कि 1977 से लेके अब तक मेरी योग की यात्रा उन्हीं आसनों के साथ चल रही है। और मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं धीरे धीरे उसको प्रगति की तरफ ले जा रहा हूँ। मुझे भीतर ही भीतर बड़ा लाइटनेस महसूस होता है। और अक्सर ये होता था कि मुझे तो कभी कहना चाहिए कि थोड़ा परेशानी भी लगती थी कि मैं अचानक जो है वो डिक्टेशन दे रहा हूँ, पीए सामने बैठा हुआ है, मेरा डिक्टेशन चल रहा है, और अचानक मेरे माथे के बीचों बीच में वाइब्रेशन इतनी तेज शुरू हो जाता था कि मैं कहता कि भाई अब मैं नहीं बोल पाऊंगा, आप थोड़ी देर के लिए 5 मिनट के लिए मुझको छोड़ दीजिए। उसको मैं बाहर करता था, बंद करता था, और फिर सोफा पे बैठ करके थोड़ी देर के लिए मैं जब ध्यानावस्थित होता था तब जाके वो वाइब्रेशन रुकता था। आज भी मैं देखता हूँ, मैंने कई मरतबे आपको शायद इसको बताने की कोशिश भी किया है कि जब आप जो है यहाँ पे अपना शुरू करते थे ध्यान करने के, तो से शुरू होता था, पूरा शरीर जैसे यहीं पर सारा केंद्रित हो गया है, मेरा बराबर चलता रहा। आज भी मैं प्राणायाम को छोड़ नहीं पाया, मेरा प्राणायाम बराबर चल रहा है और सूर्य नमस्कार मेरा बराबर चल रहा है। कुछ लोग यहाँ पर, जब मैं पुणे में हूँ, अभी मैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया से वापस पुणे आ गया हूँ, तो पुणे में जो मेरे 2-4 हैं हमारे ही उम्र के रिटायर्ड लोग हैं, तो उन लोगों ने मिल करके कहा सब आप अकेले करते हो, सब मिल के करेंगे। तो जूम पे सैटरडे को सब इकट्ठा होते हैं, तो हम लोग यहाँ बैठ करके अपना जूम में करते हैं। तो मेरा अनुभव जो था, इसके साथ में बहुत ही पूरे शरीर में, मन में बहुत ही लाइटनेस लगता था। दूसरी चीज जो अभी हेमा जी ने बताई कि रात्रि के भोजन के समय अगर आप वो भोजन स्किप कर दें तो दूसरे दिन सुबह इतना शांत और इतना अच्छा गुजरता है कि लगता है कि बस खाना ही नहीं खाते तो ज्यादा बेटर था। तो शाम का खाना जो है वो सचमुच बहुत ही लाइट होता है। या कभी कभी हम लोग जो है वो, मैं भी और मेरी पत्नी भी, दोनों आदमी कभी जो है खाली कोई सूप ले लिया, कोई जूस ले लिया, बस शाम का खाना अधिकतर ऐसे हो जाता है। तो मेरा तो बहुत ही मतलब दृढ़ विश्वास है कि जो भी प्राणायाम में, और बहुत कठिन नहीं, थोड़े मोड़े आसन में, जैसा भी आसन हो, बैठने का आसन है। और एक चीज और मैंने देखा कि सोने की जो 7-8 घंटे जो आदमी लेटा रहता है बिस्तर पे, उस सोने की मुद्रा बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। अगर आपने सोने की मुद्रा प्रॉपर नहीं रखी तो सुबह जब उठेंगे तो शरीर के भीतर चाहे जैसा भी हो, आप योगा कर लें, जो भी कर लें, लेकिन अगर आपकी मुद्रा सोने की अच्छी नहीं है तो प्रातःकाल आपका बहुत अच्छा नहीं होगा। आपको भीतर थकान लगेगी, परेशानी लगेगी। तो लाइट, मेरा तो, मैं क्या बताऊं, मैं कोई उपदेश नहीं दे रहा हूं, लेकिन मेरे अपनी जो भावना है, जो अपने अनुभव है, वो मैं शेयर कर रहा हूं कि रात्रि वक्त जो है वो बहुत ही कम खाना, बल्कि न खाना, और प्रातःकाल उठ करके जरूर कुछ आसन, योग और ध्यान करना। और रात्रि के सोने की मुद्रा जो है वो बड़ी अच्छी रखनी चाहिए, और उसमें तकिया जो है वो देखना चाहिए बहुत ऊंची नहीं हो। अपना पीछे की तकिया जो है, अगर इतनी तकिया होगी, मैं तो, मेरी तकिया बड़ी छुरी पतली सी रहती है, तो बिल्कुल इतनी रहती है कि बस गर्दन के गड्ढे के बीच में वो कवर हो जाए। तो मैं
आपने
देखता
जो
हूँ,
सोने की मुद्रा बोला उसके बारे में कुछ बताएंगे लोगों को? और मेरे ख्याल से अंग्रेजी में बोले, आई थिंक सम ऑफ अस हैव सम चैलेंज विद हिंदी, सो
मैं एक्चुअली आई एम नॉट वेरी वेल conversant with English speaking, so I may speak not properly
एज यू प्लीज।
English. So सोने में जैसे कि आप रात्रि का भोजन करने के बाद जब आप लेटते हैं तो बाएं करवट लेटना चाहिए, और बायां हाथ जो है वो सर की तरफ होना चाहिए, और दाहिना हाथ जो है वो कमर पे आना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए। बहुत से लोग होते हैं कि बिल्कुल ट्विस्ट कर लेते हैं बॉडी को, हाथ को बिल्कुल नीचे कर लेते हैं, और बॉडी उनकी जो है वो आधा सीना जो है वो बेड पे आ जाता है, आधा जो है। जब भी करवट ले खाना खाने के बाद तो बाएं करवट लेटना चाहिए, और बायां हाथ जो है वो सर की तरफ होना चाहिए, दाहिना हाथ अपने बटक्स के ऊपर रख लें या बाएं तरफ रख लें। बहुत नीचे हाथ में रखें, बहुत पीछे की तरफ हाथ में रखें। तो जनरली ये मुद्रा जो है वो करवट में रहनी चाहिए। और जब सीधे लेटे, करवट में थोड़ा सा आपको सर ऊंचा रखना चाहिए, कंधे और सर के बीच में जगह काफी रहती है, उसको बस कवर अप कर लें ताकि जो है वो बराबर लेवल से जो है सर रहे। और जब दाहिनी तरफ करवट लें, वो उसको भी ऐसे ही दाहिनी साइड में होना चाहिए सर की तरफ, और बाएं हाथ जो है वो कमर पे या अपने बटक्स पे होना चाहिए। बहुत ज्यादा ट्विस्ट करके नहीं सोना चाहिए। तो इससे मुझे लगता है कि आपका जो पाचन तंत्र है उसमें ज्यादा, आंतों में ज्यादा ट्विस्टिंग नहीं होती है, तो बहुत ही फ्लो, जो स्टमक में फूड का फ्लो है वो बहुत ही अच्छा रहता है। और सुबह जब उठेंगे तो पेट बिल्कुल शांत रहेगा, मन शांत रहेगा। ये सोने की हरी मुद्रा है, और मैं ये इसको शेयर कर रहा था।
थैंक यू सो मच। बहुत ही जरूरी चीज है, और अक्सर लोगों को पता नहीं होता है कि कैसे सोना है। और सोने के पहले की भी कुछ तैयारी कर सकते हैं।
जी जी
कुछ लोग जो है वो चाहें तो बहुत सारे जो है वो ऑडियोज अवेलेबल हैं योग निद्रा के, तो थोड़ा योग निद्रा का अभ्यास करते हुए नींद में जा सकते हैं, तो बहुत ही
हाँ,
अच्छी क्वालिटी ऑफ स्लीप विल बिकम वेरी वेरी वंडरफुल। और
बहुत
दूसरी चीज ये जो
बहुत
पॉइंट
सही।
बताया विनय जी ने कि इस तरह के पोस्चर में लेटना चाहिए, तो जो बहुत कर्व्ड हो जाते हैं, तो जब हमारी स्पाइन जो है वो सीधी नहीं रहेगी तो फ्लो ऑफ एनर्जी नहीं होगा, फ्लो ऑफ एनर्जी विल बी रेस्ट्रिक्टेड। So even if when we are sleeping, if we just make sure that the spine remains straight, even when we have taken or when we are sleeping on the side, then that will be very beneficial. And it is good to, then there are some other things that we can do. Of course, many of us do not follow that. We should avoid watching TV just before going to sleep. We should give some time. Maybe we can read a book, do something before taking sleep, because exposure to the electromagnetic waves or these fast moving pictures is going to create a disturbance, and it will affect sleep. And especially those people who find it difficult to sleep at night, they should follow this, that at least there should be a gap of about an hour and a half to 2 hours between their watching of TV or doing work on the computer and going to sleep. So these are some of the things which are not talked about. That is why we thought, we will have a kind of an informal session where we can just draw upon people's experiences, let them talk. Anybody wants to share something on the physical front? हमारे आई थिंक सुरेंद्र शुक्ला जी सर जो हैं वो योगा कर रहे हैं आजकल. शुक्ला जी सर, आप बताएंगे कुछ?
मैं कुछ पूछना चाहता हूँ. मैं योगा नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मेरी पत्नी कर रही है ऑनलाइन. शुरू
अच्छा.
किया था मैंने एक आध रोज, तो ये प्रश्न मैं पूछने ही वाला था.
पति
तो
पत्नी
मेरे
तो बराबर के हिस्सेदार हो रहे हैं, तो उनका पुण्य कुछ आपको भी आएगा.
हाँ, होना चाहिए कायदे से. तो ये वैसे मैं अपना एक्सरसाइज के तौर पे मैं पूरा सवेरे नियम से 5 किलोमीटर ब्रिस्क वॉक करता हूँ, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, पानी बरस रहा हो, कुछ भी हो जाए, वो मैं पूरा करता हूँ. तो और अभी तो सर्दी शुरू हो गई और बीच में कोरोना में स्विमिंग पूल सब बंद थे, वरना मैं नियम से शाम को स्विमिंग वगैरह भी करता हूँ. एक्सरसाइज बराबर होती. ये प्राणायाम करता हूँ थोड़ा सा, और ध्यान भी लगाता हूँ. योगा इसलिए नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि जब मैंने पहले दिन शुरू किया तो करीब पहले मैं करता था, तो 3 साल पहले मेरा लेफ्ट साइड में हर्निया का सर्जरी हुआ था. तो वो जो उन्होंने जो बताई, जो शुरू किया जहाँ से एक्सरसाइजेस, तो मुझे लगा कि मुझे उस जगह पे जो है वो स्ट्रेच आ रहा है और देयर इज ए पॉसिबिलिटी दैट आई माइट डैमेज इट. तो उसको मैंने फिर मतलब उसी जगह छोड़ दिया. फिर उसके बाद मैं उस पर गया नहीं. तो ये मेरा प्रश्न था आप लोगों से, आप तो बहुत पुराने योगा करने वाले हैं, कि भाई ऐसे में क्या करना चाहिए.
नहीं, ऐसा है सर कि जो आप योगा जिसके साथ कर रहे थे वो क्वालिफाइड इंस्ट्रक्टर थे, टीचर थे?
हाँ, क्वालिफाइड इंस्ट्रक्टर हैं. आपके मुंबई में ही एक सज्जन है, पहले हमारी बिटिया उनसे सीखती थी, अब वो लंदन चली गई, तो अब वो ऑनलाइन, मतलब पूरे हमारे परिवार के टीचर हैं एक तरह से. वो एक बिटिया को अमेरिका में,
उसमें
एक को
दिक्कत
लंदन
ये
में.
है कि ऑनलाइन की जगह जो है वो कोई ऐसा जो टीचर हो जो आपके साथ काम कर सके, क्योंकि इसमें एक ऑनलाइन में थोड़ी सी एक लिमिटेशन है. That teacher cannot really watch you doing everything, and if there is a teacher who sits by your side and who watches you, he will be able to help you. And in the Iyengar yoga there are a lot of implements, like how you can use various items of furniture or other things. So you go into those postures, but you don't damage the body. You don't put extra stretch or pressure on any part of the body. So there are ways to.
अब आप सही कह रहे हैं. अब मैं तलाश करूंगा, क्योंकि पिछले 2 साल से तो सब तरीके का जहां भी ग्रुप एक्टिविटीज है सब बंद थी. हमारे क्लब में रेगुलर योगा होता था, दिल्ली जिमखाना क्लब में, वो बंद है. और जहां भी ये एक ग्रुप एक्टिविटी होती थी, ऑर्गेनाइज एक्टिविटी, वो सब तो बंद है. और इंडिविजुअली भी घर में लोगों का आना या कहीं किसी के यहाँ जाना, मतलब वो आप मालूम है क्या स्थिति है. हाँ, वो सब उसी स्थिति में है. वैसे आई विल कीप दिस इन माइंड, जो आपने बताया कि भाई अगर कोई टीचर प्रेजेंट हो, तो हैं ऐसे बहुत लोग हैं जो कि
हाँ, और वो आपको अगर वो कुछ ऐसी चीजें बता सकें जो कि घर में आप, जो कुर्सी है, मेज है और चीजें हैं, कुछ बेल्ट्स की मदद से हो सकती हैं बहुत सारी चीजें, तो आप ऐसे कर सकें, तो उससे क्या होता है कि द रिस्क फैक्टर इज टेकन आउट ऑफ द पोस्चर.
सर मैं एक चीज बोलूंगी, योगा के लिए हमेशा पर्सनल ट्रेनर ही होना बेस्ट रहता है. ग्रुप में वो आपके बॉडी का टाइप क्या है, आपकी बॉडी को कहाँ आप सांस छोड़ रहे हैं या ले रहे हैं, कब छोड़ रहे हैं, होल्ड कर रहे हैं, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें हैं. फिर वो एक ऐसा मंकी गेम जैसा हो जाता है बिल्कुल. सो इट्स ऑलवेज इम्पोर्टेंट टू हैव अ पर्सन हु कम्स एट होम एंड टीच यू.
आप ठीक कह रहे हैं. नाउ आई विल वर्क ऑन इट. एक आध लोग, कुछ पर्सनल टीचर्स उनके हैं, उनसे बात करूंगा, एंड लेट्स सी इट वर्क्स आउट. आई होप एंड प्रे कि कोरोना दोबारा से न लौटे फिर दिल्ली में. फिलहाल तो शांत है. और
सर आपने बोला कि आप वॉक पर जाते हैं, बहुत अच्छी चीज है. उसमें एक ही चीज जो मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ, एक सेशन मैंने लिया भी था जो इकिगाई पर था, जो जापानीज सिस्टम है ऑफ लॉन्जेविटी, लॉन्ग लाइफ एंड यूजफुलनेस. तो उसमें ऐसा है कि उनके जो साइंटिस्ट थे उन्होंने करीब 10 साल तक स्टडी किया। ऐसे 4-5 जगह हैं दुनिया में जहाँ की लोग नॉर्मली 100 साल से ज्यादा जिंदा रहते हैं। तो ऐसे लोगों की लाइफ स्टाइल क्या थी, तो उन्होंने उसमें जो चीजें देखी उसमें 2-3 बातें थी कि जितने लोग थे वो उनके जीवन में चलना बहुत था, लेकिन वो चलना जिस तरह से हम लोग चलते हैं, सुबह टहलने जाते हैं या कुछ करते हैं कि वी मेक एन एक्सरसाइज आउट ऑफ वॉकिंग, तो उनकी वॉकिंग में एक्सरसाइज नहीं था। इट वाज अ वेरी रिलैक्स्ड easy walk but a lot of walking, so they used to spend a lot of time। जैसे छोटे छोटे फार्मर्स होते हैं, उन्होंने कुछ उगाया, कुछ गांव के बाजार में ले जाकर बेचा, तो उसके लिए वो सुबह से वो कई घंटे बाहर हैं, धूप में हैं, they were absorbing a lot of vitamin D and doing a lot of walking। So that is something which we can also try and inculcate। कि पहले मुझे तो ये बात नहीं मालूम थी, मैं बहुत दिन 6-6 घंटे बैठ के कंप्यूटर पर काम करता रहता था। अब मैं कोशिश ये करता हूँ कि हर घंटे बाद उठ करके कम से कम थोड़ा टहलाऊं, थोड़ा बाहर से निकल जाऊं, अपने फ्लैट के कुछ करके आता हूँ। दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी कैन।
नहीं, आप बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं। मैं एक्चुअली आप तो आपको पता है आई एम वेरी रेगुलर गोल्फ प्लेयर, तो मगर वंस अगेन
तो गोल्फ तो अपने आप में ही बहुत ही सुंदर।
हाँ, तो वो फिर बंद हो गया, अब दोबारा शुरू हुआ है। तो आई हैड अभी 3-4 रोज पहले मैं गया था, बहुत दिन बाद, क्योंकि एक शोल्डर काफी खराब हो गया था, which is now eventually it seems it has come back to workable this thing, कि हाँ भाई ठीक है, वहाँ थोड़ी बहुत देर जाके वो I think you made your point very well। I must at all cost हर तरीके का आलस छोड़ के I must get back to golf also। गोल्फ में तो वैसे ही 5 किलोमीटर तो हो ही जाता है।
हाँ, बहुत अच्छा, और वो हरिड नहीं है, वो बहुत आराम से लेजरली।
हाँ, वो बिल्कुल बहुत लेजरली है। I think it's a very good point you have made, गौर साहब। and this is the आज की जो वार्तालाप हो रही है उसमें एक बड़ा important point।
Thank you for sharing।
Thanks for sharing।
And anybody else wants to share something, or we go further?
I can also share some experiences.
Shashi, please go ahead।
So my yoga journey started very early, maybe in 1973 or something। एक ऋषिकेश में योगा टीचर होते थे प्रेम वर्नी, वो जहाँ वो महर्षि महेश योगी रहते थे उनके नीचे। used to look like a 30-year-old, but we heard that his age was 70। So my brother learned from him this thing, Jal Neti, Sutra Neti, Kapal Bhati and everything। तो वो घर में मेरा भाई भी डिस्कस है, तो वो बात चलती रहती थी। And we used to do some asanas। And my mother's grandmother from Lahore, she was doing yoga asanas from very long, regularly। She was staying in Simla and उनका भी ठीक था। So I started proper yoga after the academy। In fact, I was one of the probationers who was the best lady probationer for yoga। तो यो योगा कर।
मैम आप म्यूट पे
No,
चले
you got
जाएं।
muted। Shashi, you got muted।
हाँ?
You muted yourself। Now it's all right, you speak।
हाँ। पहले हम सोली भाई को मिले, तो सोली भाई straight away introduced us to his 3-step rhythmic breathing, and not in the form of Rajan bhai, but just introductory। He said, give me 18 minutes of your time and you do pranayam। Now when I reached Bombay, something very significant happened, and this is, believe me, I was doing yoga fairly regularly, but this was only Hatha yoga। So Hatha yoga के मेरे को limitations नजर आए, that I used to keep having a lot of sneezing because of this moist atmosphere in Bombay। Then I attended Soli Bhai's lecture and I started doing it more as a matter of curiosity and experiment, his 3-step rhythmic breathing। And within 3 days, this significant change occurred that my sneezing stopped। And then after a little while, it started again। So I went to Soli Bhai again and I said, wo dobara shuru ho gayi। So then he saw Gaur Saab, because we used to go together. He told Gaur Saab, teach her properly how to do the 3-step rhythmic breathing. Then I again started it. So I taught my family also. Now what happens is I carried on like this for some time. Now I come and I hit the age 60, late 60 and 70. And now in the cold Delhi winter, my body doesn't operate straight away to start with Hatha Yoga, because that the first is Yam, Niyam, Asana and Pranayam. So I am always experimenting and curious about things. And so what I did is this Asana and Pranayam, I interchanged. So what I would do is I'd get up in the morning and then first do eye exercise. And then from pranic healing, I learned that the touching the tip of the tongue to the palate is a very important exercise, because I'm feeling very groggy, sleepy, and I would just first rotate my tongue left, right, up, down, side, diagonal, and then touch the tip of the tongue to the palate, and I would be very alert. So I said, there's something very strange. I just hit on it by way of experiment. And then I would get up and I feel a little cold to do in the cold Delhi winters, the asanas. So I started with Kapalbhati. And then I do with Nari Shodhan, then Anulom Vilom, Kapalbhati, and then Om Dhani, and then Soli Bhai's Pranayam. I'd finish the pranayam exercises, including gold nugget, and then come back to asanas. And I found my asana performance was very, very fluid and very natural. So I keep experimenting. So I actually shifted the thing, because I feel that whatever you touch in this 8-step Ashtanga Yoga, whatever you shift, somehow it comes back in a complete manner. So my experiments with yoga have been very wide on a different scale. And then Mrs. Gaur, Ranjana Gaur, I found she also makes you wake up early, breathe in different manners, different patterns with different sounds. So I find these very useful in the level of concentration and alertness of the mind. And see, now I'm 70, and for me to be so active and alert is only via these exercises. The second limitation I find is that I used to do yogas in an extremely, I used to stretch, do chakras and everything. Usme abhi thodi haddiyon mein dard hone lagi hai. So I thought I'll reduce the stretching and bending so much. So you have to keep accommodating the body to its requirements, and over a period of week, then it starts adjusting. So you have to start slowly, and then as your body keeps indicating, you have to go further to it. And the thing is, I experiment as per my requirements. So the asanas are very customized in that manner. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There's one thing that I want to, sort of add to what you have said. Normally it is advised that you do a little asana and then you do the pranayam. But you see, this is how it works. That you have to tweak and find what works for you. And what Shashi is doing is that she does the pranayam. She gets the energy moving, the pranic energy moving in the body. And when the pranic energy starts moving in the body, it becomes easier for her to do the asanas. So this is how we need to do. So there is no hard and fast rule. Each one has to, sort of look at things and see what works for us, keep experimenting and do what works. So this is something that there's a teaching there in what Shashi has shared just now. And I can see Amol Chaudhary. Amol.
Sir,
Yes,
I think Vatsala ma'am wanted to come before, if Amol
before
doesn't
Amol,
mind.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Pin Vatsala and
Yes,
then
sir. Yes,
we'll
sir.
take Amol.
Yes, sir.
Vatsala ji, please go ahead.
So I have been following Dr. Guruji Prem Nirmal Ji's Kriya Yoga and the sound healing. And I got he was kind enough to select a pipe for me. And my arthritic pains have shown a dramatic improvement. It is very different, and my sadhana is better. So it's very noteworthy. Then the other thing is, I have a question, sir. See,
Yes.
during a meditation, which I've been doing regularly, thanks to you, I'm so grateful to you for having introduced this aware meditation, your guided meditation. I keep going back to that video again and again. It's a great help. I sometimes, as you said, I get an insight, some knowledge about a human condition or something, which is, it strikes me that this is the truth. Unbidden, the insight comes to me. Now that goes deep into my mind. Does it mean that I have learned something, have received the knowledge, or I have to work on it? Is that insight that comes to me because of my sadhana, by grace of God, grace of the Guru? Insight has come to me. Can I say that some little bit of my ignorance is gone, or how do I take that insight into my? Because for some time it works. Maybe after some time, the thoughts may be different.
That's a very nice sharing, Vatsala. Thank you so much. Actually, what happens is that the process of evolution or spiritual growth is such that we all keep passing through these phases. And what we need in a particular moment, at a given point of time, that is what gets transmitted to us. So the insights you are talking about is essentially the insight that you need in this moment. And the insight could be, sometimes it can be about your personal growth, about some people, some person around you, somebody in the family, or it can be a kind of a general insight as to what is going to happen.
It's a philosophical question about the human condition.
About the human condition. So it is something that is being shown to you. And having seen that, you have to decide how are you going to prepare yourself to be there to deal with whatever happens. And
because that knowledge should give me a guidance as to my reaction to such situations in future.
It's a guidance.
It cannot remain as a theoretical principle.
No.
Then, sir, one more question, sir. You wrote a beautiful piece today in the Telegram group about the separateness.
Yes.
Can you show us? There is so much that can be said. How do we keep that sense of separateness? See, intellectually I know, but many of the things that we write about choiceless awareness, those are the conditions we reach when just before we merge into the universal consciousness. They are not intermediate steps. So, but this separateness is a stage. It's an intermediate stage. Unless we overcome that, how do we do it? I've been thinking about it the whole time, and I've written it down too.
You see,
it was a
like
beautiful piece what you wrote today.
It just came through because there was a beautiful quote of J. Krishnamurti.
Yes.
I will just give the background to everybody.
Okay.
Maji knows.
I thought you were talking from a different dimension. Thank you.
A friend of mine wrote a piece on Facebook and talking about the communal divide or the violence which is going on. And he sort of put it in the perspective of something that has been created by the British or whatever for their own reasons. But he gave a quote of J. Krishnamurti, and J. Krishnamurti said that if you want to understand violence, first thing is that you have to stop being, or you give up your identity of your nationalism, your caste, your religion, anything, your biases. And only then, unless you look at it from a holistic viewpoint, you cannot understand it. So what I wrote, it triggered something inside me. And Mr. Soli Tavaria ji had asked me to keep ready a book from the Theosophists' gems. That book is titled Light on the Path. And it is a book which was transmitted to a lady in England by a transcendental master. And who was perhaps either from the Egyptian school or the Greek school. And he said that these teachings They arose from ancient India. They were there in ancient India, and from there they came to these different schools. And now these are being transmitted for the benefit of a person having a Western mind. So the book contains certain do's and don'ts, very basic rules of discipleship.
Mm.
And when Solibhai asked me to, I can see my friend Sunil Chopra there, and he was very fond of the other book. What was that book, Sunil? I think At the Feet of the Master. And he used to keep it always. Sunil used to keep this book always. And I was asked to keep this book, The Light on the Path, always in my with me. And Solibhai had told me that you should read, open this book and read. And he said that don't go by the words, because the words will not lead you anywhere. But there are words within words. And at some point of time, the words within the words will start speaking to you. And he said that there are so many rules, but if you imbibe one rule in one lifetime, that lifetime would be worth it. So I used to keep this book and keep reading. There are so many sutras, there are so many aphorisms. But this one rule, kill out all sense of separateness. It stood out for me. And the master perhaps understood that this is not just a rule. People will not understand that there are some rules. Underneath those rules, he has given his footnote. So one of the things he says is that you are not at all different from the evil man or the ignorant man. We always consider ourselves as separate. Forget about it. Because the moment you allow the idea of separateness to grow, you are bound to that person or situation by karma. And this was a great teaching. It is very difficult. But
Very difficult.
It's a great teaching. And then he says that before you reach the ultimate or before you reach the highest, you must have passed through all places, foul and clean alike. So we have got into this human form. We are well provided. We are having a good life. And so when we see a beggar on the street or when we see somebody doing something wrong, we just shrink in horror. Because we think that is separate. And here the master says that the soiled garment you shrink away from in horror could have been yours yesterday. We all have made horrible mistakes in previous lifetimes. We have learned certain lessons, so that is how we are here today. But he also says, it could be yours tomorrow. If that soiled garment we have not experienced, we might land up there in that soiled garment. And then he says, then it will stick all the more closely to your body. So as I meditated upon this footnote more and more, then I began to see how even the very idea that I am spiritual, the other person is not, that itself is wrong.
Yes.
So forget about the idea of having, a separateness from other things. That I belong to this religion and so belongs to that religion. My religion is good, my religion is wrong. So this is something which I am working on it. And I must confess that this is hard work because many times I fail. And then I realize that, oh, I slept today. The idea of separateness is asserting itself again.
Yes.
But then this knowledge that I have failed, that gives me hope that maybe now that I know that I have failed, I can still go back to that idea and work upon it
Awareness.
More and more awareness is increasing. And perhaps, Chopra ji will like to talk about his journey with at the feet of the master. Sunil, would you like to say
Thank
something?
you,
Please unmute yourself. I'm
Thank you,
so
sir.
pleased to see you here.
It is at the feet of the master was long back. Now it is
Vivekananda.
Ramakrishna. And the Gospel of Ramakrishna I have been reading regularly for the last 20 years. And I am initiated devotee of Ramakrishna. So I haven't, I've gone into a different phase altogether for the last, I would say, 15, 20 years now. And now, these days, most of my time is spent with him. So I don't, if you want me to say something about Ramakrishna, I can, but still today.
So maybe one day we will have you as our lead speaker.
But today I have come as a recipient. So.
We normally have a kind of a very formatted, formal program, but today somehow we decided that it will be just a kind of a discussion, an open house sort of thing. So most welcome. So I don't know whether you are the recipient, but through your presence we are also a recipient.
Thank you very much. It's a very comforting feeling.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, Amol ji wants to.
Yes, Amol.
Sir, namaste.
Amol.
So I began. Yes. So can you hear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well.
Okay. So I began this yoga journey about 8 to 9 years ago, and initially I was very reluctant to do yoga. Like I felt that this is very boring, or this is I don't need this. For me, chanting or meditation, that is enough. For seva, doing selfless service, that is enough. This yoga and all these things seemed very boring. But somehow I joined the class, and then it was for me, it was not a blissful experience, not at all. It was very difficult. It was very hard. Like when I used to go to this beginners class, I was like, मैं अभी जा रहा हूँ, अभी जिंदा लौटूंगा तो फिर देखूंगा आगे की सोचूंगा. And this continued for initial 2-3 years. It was so difficult because in that class, like I'm talking about this institute, RIMV, B.K. Iyengar's institute in Pune.
Yes.
So for each batch, at least for the beginners, towards the end of the batch, hardly anybody remained. So suppose the batch is of say 70 students, 80 students, hardly 2-3 guys left used to remain, and many of them used to get dropped in first initial months only. But there was something I stuck around, and then I began to reap the benefits of doing the class. So then I was qualified enough, so they promoted me to this intermediate class, and then I learned difficult asanas also. But there was so much perseverance in that, and as I did the class, so many inner things came up which I saw, like inferior complex, like fear, like shame, so many things. And they trained that doing these asanas, you can process these feelings, these emotions. And that is how I build up on that. So that was there. And there I learned for the first time that my concepts that old people cannot do yoga, or obese people cannot do yoga, or that is, they all will shattered. There were many obese women I saw, and many old and obese who were doing Shirshasana for 10 minutes, and that too in the center. So it was all new experience, and also doing asanas along with so many Western people, foreigner people. There I realized that we claim, just as you were mentioning that about this separation of nationality and all that. So we claim ourselves to be Indians, and yoga being our own thing, not others. But there I saw foreign people, white people, they are doing excellent yoga. they have become teachers and they have so much knowledge and they are so humble. And it was a very beautiful learning experience for me. So since this lockdown began, I was a little bit concerned that how it will become. But online classes, I found that they're very, very good. But thing is that unless and until you have done some offline classes, it becomes very difficult to do the online thing, because the instructions they give us, unless you are conversant with that, it becomes difficult. And one
That
more
is
thing,
why we told Shukla sir that he should do offline classes first and then only online.
And one last thing I would like to say, that since there are so many senior citizens here, the props which we are talking, there are props like bolsters, belts, chairs, or even dining table, and so many things are difficult asanas of yoga can be done very easily by even the old people, and most people don't know that. Very difficult asanas can be done easily and the benefits can be reaped, because I have seen that with my own eyes and I have also experienced that. Like for example, I used to do this Virasana is very difficult, but I used to take this they taught me something, and they used to take the bolster beneath our buttocks and the spine got erected in such a beautiful way that it was so inspiring. When the spine gets completely erect, the experience is like very, very, very beautiful. So with the props, with belts, and it is a very yoga becomes very simple, and all these limitations of age, of weight, all those we can like transgress that, like and get the benefits. Thank you.
Thank you, Amol. And in fact, I can share my own experience. Once when I was posted in Pune, I had a very severe cervical spondylitis. And thereafter, it was said that you cannot do any inverted posture where you are standing on your shoulders or anything. So what my yoga teacher did, he taught me to hang by the wall. He had these implements. He was an Iyengar student. So he used to just, make me hang alongside the wall, upside down. And I came to enjoy it so much that I would just get into that posture and be there for maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Because it was so refreshing. All the blood would be gushing down into the brain, and the brain will be charged completely. So it is something very useful, and especially old people can look for such teachers who can teach them with implements. That will be very nice. So thank you so much, Amol. And how is your exam? Over?
Good.
Okay, very good.
Sir, Shaila ji wants to come in.
Please.
My journey about yoga started many years back, but began with the income tax department. There was this Nikam Guruji's students who used to come and do it during lunchtime. This was more than about 30-40 years back. And then there were different phases. So I did yoga for a while and then gave up again for some reasons, again started different. I did this Iyengar yoga for a few months or a year or two, and then again gave up. Ultimately, my life has really, there's a big change come about since last 4 months. And more than 6 months back, I began with Rajan Bhai's refining exercises, and that made me feel very energetic. But there is this, I found something very unique in this thing that I have been doing for the last 4 months, where it is not only physical, but there is emotional balances, cellular balances, and the yin yang practices, even the physical, and that is with the great grace and of Master Shah and Master Umarajan's classes, which is the Soul Gym. The Soul Gym has really brought about a lot of change in my life, which is like at all levels, balancing the inner emotions, the feeling energetic, even it's like 5 days a week, but sometimes Saturday, Sunday feels so bad that I do it on my own, some exercise. And I think I would suggest that anybody who is looking for something on Zoom at home and can try this out. Soul Gym, 6:45 to 7:30 every morning, and see how you all feel about it. Thanks.
I can endorse that because I am there in that class, and people who find it difficult to do some difficult physical postures or pranayam, for them there is this alternative method available, method of soul healing. We follow the soul healing practices, and therefore, and this is purely based in love. You develop a connection with the body, use that connection to develop certain energy centers which govern vitality. And you also use those connections to heal the elements. And in the Chinese traditional medicine, there are these elements which control our emotions. So as these elements are being healed, the emotions are healed. As Vatsala shared that she is using the Kriya practice and sound healing. So each one of us has this liberty. There's a wonderful buffet or menu which is available. Each one can choose. And we have Umaji with us. Umaji, would you like to say something? She is not on video.
No, she's not on video, sir.
She is not on video.
Sir, can I share a photograph of the yoga asana which I take the prop of the house like people are talking?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'll just share. I hope people can see. I think this is, sir, you can see, sir?
Yes.
So this is.
See, this is how you use, you are using the window.
The window, yes, sir.
Window as support. Wonderful.
And this is the door that I have because it has grooves. It has grooves, so I can climb the door.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
So you were just talking about props. Umaji, I think, is still not there. I mean, she.
Okay,
no, sir, her video is not on. Sir.
Okay.
She was there. She
was there earlier.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to share?
And so.
Sir, we have one person. Asked to start video. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I do my exercises. I do refining exercises. I do pranayam, and I do walking also. So I do a lot of stuff. I mean, even pranic, twin hearts meditation. So I'm into a lot of it. Even yogasanas also I do, but I'm not very, sometimes it is because of time constraint, I'm not very regular. But then I have been doing regularly since 6 to 7 years now. So, and I think refining exercises of Soli Tavariaji have been doing for the past 2 years continuously. So there's a lot of benefit physically, strength-wise, body vitality, even control of emotions. I think a lot of what can I say? I'm a different person than what I was before 2014, I suppose. And it all started because I had a small problem with my sugar and all that after my delivery of my second child. So I started doing it. But then I found that there were a lot of benefits, not just physical, emotional, mental, lot of benefits. And a lot of insights also started coming in. It was not just a physical thing. It sort of was a spiritual experience too for me. So lot of benefits. So I just stick on to what I'm doing. Some days it is down and some days it is up.
It's all right. It's all, we all go through that.
Yeah, so that way. But then overall, I have improved a lot. I have improved a lot as a whole person. I suppose there's a lot of improvement. Yeah, that's so. I agree with all of you saying that physical exercise and on all levels it is required. So that is it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Sir,
you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I want to say something. Vatsala here.
Yes.
Sir, the first time I heard Mr. Sanjay Bhatia on heartfulness, it made such an impact on me. And I kept thinking, and then I said, I'm being shown a sign. So then I wrote to him saying I'm interested. And ever since, every Wednesday, a preceptor leads me in meditation. And I'm, except for very rare reasons, I have not missed it. Tuesday, I have Tuesday gatherings, and Wednesday evening, I have the heartfulness meditation. And Daji's messages and they're so spiritual. It reinforces whatever we have done on Tuesday. So I am so grateful to Mr. Bhatia for having introduced me to heartfulness. It's a wonderful thing.
That's like
I'm
your
so
time
grateful
had
for-
come. So that is how,
Yes.
you know, I just asked you to join the Tuesday gatherings, and then things
Yes,
started.
yes,
And
yes,
that
yes.
is how
And life has not been
existence.
that.
Huh?
And
That is how
have
existence
my,
works.
yes, and my dark moments have gone away because help has come to me in such unexpected thing. I now have such faith. Help will come. That has.
And I had wanted to discuss some other things also. That Vinayji spoke about how, you know, because he has been very regular in pranayam and the Surya Namaskar, how he always had this build-up of energy in the third eye, and it used to happen at with such intensity that sometimes he would have to stop his office work. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, sir. This is Jitendra Maurya.
Jitendra, can you just hold on for a moment?
Sure,
Let
sir.
Vinayji finish. Yeah.
Babu, actually, I want to share.
Yes.
I want to remind you one thing, that in 1992-93, you just introduced me the 3SRB when I was in Delhi. So when I used to go to my office, and after 1 month of my practice, I started getting some smell of sandal, chandan. So whenever if I go in the bus, I was smelling that. When I went to the office and opened the file, I was feeling that there is a cell. I told you about this. Then one day I called my PA. I said, "Are you using some scent, which is a sandal scent?" He said, "No, sir." I smell this file. How it is smelling? She said, "So इसमें तो बड़ी बदबू आ रही है." फाइल में तो बहुत बदबू आ रही है. So this was one thing which I don't know. I mean, after 1 month of my practice with 3SRB, this happened to me for about 2-3 months.
So this is our experience also. At whenever, you know, when Soli Bhai is present in his subtle form, then the fragrance of sandalwood is experienced. So, or it is said that, you know, that when some great saints come, then also various fragrances are we experience. So, and the other thing is that why we experience these fragrances.
Yeah,
So,
that is actually why my question.
There is a science behind it, that for some reason we are being connected to that source of the fragrance within. All fragrances are inside us. All sounds are inside us. So because of our practice, because of our connectedness with the practices, and because of grace, for some reason, when the connection with the inside is made, then the fragrance is felt. It used to happen to me. After I met Guru Mai for about 5-7 days, I used to just be guided to a place in my drawing room and I would sit there. I did not know what is meditation, what to do, and I would just close my eyes and go within. And there would be this wonderful fragrance that would come from inside. And it was intoxicating. For the whole day, I would be having that kind of intoxication because of that fragrance which I had experienced in the morning. It disappeared later on.
After
This
2-3
used to
months, it disappeared.
Thank you for sharing. And
Jitendra wants to come
Maria, yes, please, Mr. Maria, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. This is Jitendra. And actually, I've come across Shri Tavaria ji in lockdown 2020. And I'm doing all these exercises. And a lot of changes happened in my life. Actually, I was quite impulsive. But right now, I can see myself that I have taken 360-degree change. Every stability comes in my life right now. Just one help, sir, I want you from you that put some light on how can I increase awareness in my life, because a lot of time I am daydreaming and brooding, and because of that a lot of energy is getting exhausted, I think. So if you can shed some light on that.
There are two things that I can, two prescriptions.
Yes, sir.
First thing is that don't be in a hurry to do something.
Okay.
So become a little more deliberate in what you do. Like you are sitting just now. Are you aware that you are sitting? Are you aware of the contact between your sit bones and the chair? How you are holding your hand? So try to be more aware. When you speak, listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth. Then you will be aware. When you look at something, just look at it and see whether how this particular thing is communicating with you. When you touch your bed, you touch your book, you touch your body, see what is the communication happening between the piece of furniture that you are touching, the bed, the body. And you will start receiving messages. Your awareness levels will be enhanced. You are already doing all the exercises or practices given by Tavaria ji. So your awareness levels will increase because the pranic level will increase.
Yes.
So there are two things go hand in hand. One, that there should be a kind of an attempt to increase awareness by being more aware. How do you increase awareness? By being more aware. There are many things that we do mechanically. So try not to do anything mechanical.
Right, sir.
That is one. Then the other thing which is that maybe 25 times or 30 times a day, you must have seen, children playing that game of statue.
Yes.
Somebody says statue, and then one is running or whatever way one is holding the hand, it stops. So you ask yourself, stop. And then see what was the last thought that you had in your mind.
Sir, actually I practice this stop exercise, but what happens when I stop myself, unconsciously I stop my breathing also. I mean, I stop whole breathing and my mind stops at that moment. But when I start breathing again, then again thoughts started playing.
So that means you are putting much, much force in the command. To
Yes.
make your command to stop more gentle.
Okay, sir.
So because if you put too much of intention or awareness, stop, then mind will stop, the breath will also stop.
Yes, sir.
So, but just do that, to make it a more gentler command. And then you see what was the last thought you had in your mind. And when you see that, then you will begin to see what kind of thoughts that you are there that you entertain.
Yes, sir.
Are those thoughts mostly about memory? Are those thoughts mostly about future? What is going to happen? What is the driving emotion behind those thoughts? Their grief, is there sadness, is there fear, is there
Yeah.
anxiety? So, and as you become more aware, these things will begin to leave. Because once you are aware that this is something which is not useful for me, you can let it go.
Yes.
If you go to a medicine shop and you start, fiddling with the bottles kept there, and there is a bottle on which there is a red label, and on in the red, the skull and the cross labeled there, you will never touch that bottle.
Right.
Because it's not advisable. In the same way, when we start labeling our thoughts, we are deciding which thoughts we should hold and which we can let go. So we unburden the mind. That which is not necessary, we can easily let go.
Okay, sir.
And
Thank you, sir.
that is how we do. Doing everything with more awareness. We have our bath. Are we going to, when we have bath, how do we put water on our body? We really feel the water. We go out of the house and there is this breeze blowing. Are we really feeling the breeze? These are the small things. And that is how, when at some level your awareness starts going out of your body. So when you are walking, you are more aware of your surroundings also.
Exactly, sir. Okay, sir.
So that becomes a multidimensional awareness.
Thank you, sir.
Right now also his awareness is heightened because he is only paying attention to what you are saying. This is the key.
Maybe someone can add something. Umaji has come back. Umaji, would you like to add something?
Sorry, I had to step out. I had some guests.
Oh,
So,
I see.
yeah,
Also,
yeah.
You see, we spoke about the soul gym every morning. So I thought maybe I could request you to speak about a few words about it.
Oh yes, Soul Gym. It's my. It was my dream for quite a few years, and thanks to the lockdown, it really materialized. And this is a beautiful way because Master Shah's teachings, it helps us in every aspect of life. So we have put this together for 5 days a week, wherein we spend about 40 to 45 minutes every day. And we have a schedule as such, like, Monday is for the physical body, Tuesday is for the emotional body, Wednesday is for the spiritual body. So we try to put it that way, but sometimes as per guidance, we do change. And we have very, very simple exercises because there is this space within our body, which is called the Foundation Energy Center, the area just below the navel. No, it is called the lower dantian. It is the reservoir of energy. And in fact, in Master Shah's latest teaching, he says that that is the most important part, the space in the body which you need to have total consciousness, awareness, and try and build as much as possible. So during these soul gyms, we were about 17. We started in the month of March. And I think we've all got addicted to it now. Like people say, and Tawariyaji's this thing of 7 minus 1 is 0, it really applies. Because when we do it for 5 days, and on the 6th and the 7th day we don't do, we really feel that we've come back to 0 when we start again on Monday. So this is what is about the Soul Gym, and we have with us quite a few people who are there with us on Soul Gym, and maybe I could ask Myron to talk a little about it. Yes.
Yes, Myron.
And Myron, maybe you would want to talk about Vipassana also. He's been an ardent Vipassana meditator for a long, long time.
He's not there.
He's not there?
No, he's there. He's there, but his video is not on.
Her
I don't
video
know whether he.
is, I have requested him to switch on the video.
Yeah. Myron,
So
would you
now-
like to talk about soul?
Yeah, I was lying
down.
down because of my sciatica. So,
Yeah, sorry. How are you feeling now? Better?
well, it starts off when I get up, but so long as I'm lying down, it's okay. Well, regarding I'm 76 years old now, and my spiritual journey started, maybe as a child. At that time, I was very, what should I say, goody type of boy, I'm a Roman Catholic, so I used to study religious teaching, and I used to come first in class and all in religious teaching and all that. Then, of course, I became a sailor, and I still kept some of my habits, but I stopped praying and all that as much as I used to. And then, well, life was quite happy-go-lucky at that particular stage of my life. And then one day I fell in love and everything got messed up. So then I wanted to know why this has happened. So at that time I started, so I had this habit of roaming around bookshops and searching for books and all that. And the first book I got was one, there's to be, you don't find the books nowadays. There was an author called Yogi Ramcharaka. I don't know whether any of you have heard about it. And this was from that, there was a, I forget now, there was a bookshop around this thing, the road, Dadabhai Naoroji Road. So it was called, the book was called Advanced Teachings in Hindu Philosophy and Oriental Occultism, something was the name. And that's when I first came across the book you were talking about recently, that Light on the Path. That Light on the Path, actually it was this book was more or less a explanation of Light on the Path. So I was quite impressed by that, and I found a lot of meaning in that. And by that time also I had started doing yogic asanas. Whenever I was on leave, I used to attend that Kaivalya Dham ashram on Chowpatty. I don't know if any of you know it. And my health improved tremendously, and I was very happy. And then I had to go back. I went back to sea, of course, as I was working on the ship. And I still used to practice yoga and all that on the ship. And then I had a boss of mine who was 50 plus, but was very active. So I asked him, how you do this? I mean, how do you achieve this? At that time, I was just a little below, just about 30 years old. I was not married. And he told me, he introduced me to transcendental meditation, that is Mahesh Yogi's meditation. So when I went on leave, instead of doing what normally sailors do on leave, chasing girls and getting drunk, I went and I enrolled there, and I learned how to do transcendental meditation. Then I felt there should be something more to this. So I still had some leave left. So I went off to Rishikesh, and I spent two and a half months training to be a teacher in transcendental meditation. Of course, I did not become a permanent teacher because I had my own job, but I used to teach sometimes. And the main reason I went is because they did intensive meditation. For 2.5 months, we did very intensive meditation in that Mahesh Yogi's ashram in Rishikesh. And I can safely say it's one of the most beautiful times in my life. And again, I was quite happy. I came back to work out at sea, and I was still quite happy. I was a bachelor. I literally more or less stopped having alcohol. I was never a heavy drinker, but I stopped drinking much. More or less, I had stopped drinking. And of course, well, you know, things remain hidden inside you, and it takes some kind of what should I say, outer stimulus to bring out everything that you think you're clear in the clear, but you're not really in the clear. And then I got married, and I told my wife, see, I am like this, I do all these things and all that. So if you have no objection to it, in those days, especially among Christian community, people were actively against all these things. So my mother didn't like it in any case. Anyway, I got married, but then once you get married, things change, as many of you might be knowing. And my wife didn't like my meditation and asanas and all this thing. Even though I had taken a short job just to be with the family, with my wife, and then so she used to always actively discourage me, even get nasty about it and all. But I continued doing it as much as I could. And then one day, at that time, I used to work I used to work as a harbor pilot. I used to bring ships from outside, inside, guide them inside. So one day, while jumping from the gangway of the ship into the boat took a slight roll and I twisted my knee. And after that, I could not do Padmasana, and also that together with my wife's objection to my doing all these things, I gave up yoga at that particular stage. I used to sometimes meditate whenever I could, whenever I was alone and whenever I could feel like it. And then after that, I had a baby daughter who died, you know, she died under very sad circumstances. And then I found I needed to go back to be alone because I could not cope being ashore. So I went back to sea and I started meditating a bit again. And then I was many years out at sea, and of course, the life out at sea has changed. We were no longer the happy-go-lucky people we used to be in early years. There were so many rules and regulations, and also but because I was working for my family and earning money, I liked it. And then one day my marriage went for a toss because my wife decided that she had no more need for me. So, and well, I can't blame her because maybe sometimes I used to meditate and maybe the vibrations of what used to bother her and all the what we call in soul healing as dark souls used to dance inside her. So, but it is my fault, you might say. And of course, she would not. She would always say it was my fault, and that would lead to some tension situations. And finally, she went off with somebody else, and I was left alone. And unfortunately, that thing, I wouldn't say it is her fault, but there was perhaps a lot of hatred bottled up in me, perhaps from some previous lifetime of what I wouldn't know. And all this came out, and I began to hate people and things around me. But I still, on some level, I was aware enough to know that it is wrong. But knowing intellectually and living that thing is something else, you know. So anyway, I continued to be out at sea for a little while. Then I gave up, and then I found Vipassana. By the time also I had learned how to do Reiki. I did up to my 3rd degree. But I never found that I was not very much interested in Reiki. Then I did Vipassana. Vipassana was initially it was a very painful. See, those of you who have never done Vipassana, you realize it brings you face to face with yourself, and that can be very painful also. And it can be physically painful also. And but I kept at it. Maybe I overdid it because after that I started because I was whenever I used to be at home on leave or anything like that, I used to sit, cross my legs and sit down, and meditate. Result is the circulation in my legs became affected. And at that time I found it difficult to walk. I used to walk with a stick and it used to pain me. And that is when somebody told me about Master Shah. So then, so one day that time he used to teach in that place, Hotel Ram Sharda and Leelavati Hospital in Bandra. So I popped a few extra painkillers and I went there. And well, initially his talk was, I had attended many such talks, so it was nothing special, the talk. But then towards the end, he said, there are people here who are suffering from leg pains and backaches and all that. So I'll give you all a blessing. So please stand up and turn your back towards the stage. So I was one of those. So I got up and turned my back to the stage, and he gave us his blessing. And at that time, I did not feel anything. But when soon after that the session ended and I went out, and I found that I can literally walk fast now. All the pains have gone. It was something. Now, please understand this. As a sailor, one doesn't believe in, or only half believes, you might say, in all these things. So I said, this is something, and I found I could actually walk and even jog a bit on the road. So I said, oh, this is great. Something is there. The next day there was a self-healing class. Master Shah was holding. This was a free session. Next day was a self-healing class which you had to pay for. So I said I must come and join that class. However, as soon as I went from there and got into the Bombay local train to go back to Vasai where I stay, everything returned again. But there was some time, that period was kind of convinced me. So that started my whole journey with soul healing, and I was continually doing that exercise. It took me about 2 years to get rid of those pains and aches and all. I used to attend all the classes, even though I might have attended the workshop before. I used to still attend. Sometimes that time Master Allen used to be there in India. I was the only student with him, and it used to be raining very heavily in that place which we used to have in Dadar. But slowly, the pains and all went away, and they still come back again now. Like the moment I am again back to square one, but then I realized many things in soul healing. Apart from doing my Vipassana, which I still do quite often, not always regularly, but then I do I find healing is. I don't know, in soul healing, there are many aspects of soul healing. People see a lot of things and their third eye visions. I don't have any of those capabilities. But yes, I have healed myself, and even the downloads and all have done me a world of good, and I am much better now than I used to be, except for now I thought I was out of this thing. One thing I realized that I should not blame other people, because of doing soul healing and Vipassana, I came to realize that, we are to blame for everything that happens to us. You know, this is intellectually, I know. I knew that you might say beforehand only, but knowing something intellectually and just realizing it as a day-to-day event is something else. So now I've realized that I must get rid of the thing at my. In a way, it is good because that gives me, what should I say, control. You know, before you think something happens to you and you don't have anything to do with it, but it happens to you. And now, well, I'm still with Soul Healing, and I just started. I think this is the third session of this Tuesday, which I think I am quite impressed by it. I haven't yet started. Though Master Umar has given me the CSRB app, but I haven't had chance to go into it. It becomes so many things to do. You know, in the middle, I had also done inner engineering with what's his name, Sadhguru, and I still listen to a lot of his teachings. But I have not gone because of my legs and my problem and the pain. I could not go very much into the thing. I would like to have started yoga again, but it pains me. I also do a bit of Tai Chi, which is a lot easier than doing yoga.
Thank you, Myron. Thank you so much. It has been a very interesting journey, and it's a great teaching that you have imparted. You know, the understanding that we must take responsibility for our life, for whatever is happening, and we should not blame others. That is something which is very important. And thank you so much for sharing this wonderful journey.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Umaji. And I think we have overshot our time. So meditation we'll keep for some other day. I just wanted to ask, we used to have these Saturday meditations, and then we stopped in between because very few people were joining. So should we do that?
Sir, for old time's sake, can we have a short meditation today?
Have a short meditation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Short or old time's sake, sir. It's been such a wonderful long time since we had a meditation.
Okay, we'll have a short meditation.
Okay, sir.
Everyone, please sit straight and become aware of your breathing, and put your hands in the Vishnu Mudra. And first check which nostril is dominant, and whichever nostril is dominant, you start breathing from there. We will do Anulom Vilom, but in this we will not be holding the breath. So do 11 cycles of Anulom Vilom at your own pace. And if you have finished, you can check again whether both the nostrils have been equalized. If not, you can do a few more cycles at your pace. And while you do this, become aware that you keep the rhythm 3:2. Count 1, 2, 3 as you inhale, and 5, 6 as you exhale. And if these nostrils have become equalized, just sit quietly and follow the breath as it moves in and as it moves out. The breath comes in and the breath goes out. Breathe in and breathe out. Notice how your body is becoming quieter. And the breath is the bridge between the body and the mind. So as the breath settles into an even and rhythmic state, the mind also starts becoming quiet. Allow your breath to become more and more subtle and slow. And become more aware of the point at the top of the nose, where the breath turns. And if you pay attention, you will notice that the subtle energy of prana moves up from this junction point to the top of your head. If you cannot feel the prana, just be with the breath. And if you can be with the prana, take your awareness to the top of the head. Now see how the breath happens at the pranic level. With the in-breath, prana is released from the base of the spine to the top of the head. And with the out-breath, the prana travels from the top of the head to the base of the spine. whatever you are comfortable with. Be with it. Either watching the breath as it moves in and goes out, or just watching the prana as it rises from the base of the spine to the top of the head, and then goes down and settles at the base of the spine. And now shift the attention to the one who is watching. Breath or the prana. Whatever happens, happens on its own. And you experience yourself as pure awareness, that is witnessing itself. You are experiencing your own true nature. The pure consciousness. The one without form and attribute. Just rest in that consciousness. In the Upanishad, the master says, Tat Tvam Asi. Thou art that. If at some point of time you notice that you are breathing again, bring yourself back to the witness. Become immersed in the experience of who you truly are. Now allow your awareness to return to your body. And begin becoming aware of the bodily function. Let your breath become more noticeable. And as you feel, as you breathe, feel how the abdomen and the chest both get filled. And on the out breath, how both are being emptied. Take a few deep breaths. Become aware of the sense of touch. Become aware of how your body is placed, where your hands are, how your sit bones are in contact with the chair or bed or the floor which you are seated. Closed eyes, become aware of your surroundings. Any sounds that are there, any persons that are present. Just become aware of everything around you. And when you are ready, gently bring your palms together. You can rub them against one another. And then cover your eyes with your palms, to the pyramid of the palms. Let the energy of meditation be integrated throughout the body. You can gently caress your face, tap your shoulders, tap your chest. And when you are ready, you may slowly open your eyes. It is important to come out of meditation very, very slowly. Because if you come out with a jerk, you might find it difficult to go within the next time. So when ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you, everyone. Because I think a nice interactive session could have, and I believe a barrier was broken because people spoke freely. So you can do these things more often. Because satsang is not just about some teaching being received from a high pedestal. It happens when there is an intimate sharing. And when such sharings are happening, then it works both ways. The person who is sharing, he or she is going to receive something because of reliving those moments where one has received something really great. So the first beneficiary is the person who shares. And those who listen, yes, they are also beneficiaries because very often when people share their experiences, they are actually answering our own questions. Whatever we need to receive in a particular moment, that is what is being shared. That is how the energy works. So it was a wonderful session. Thank you so much. And maybe we could have we would plan to have more such sessions because I had thought of many things. I had just listed a few points that what we could cover in an informal discussion like this. Something that really impinges upon our spiritual life. So what are we doing and how we are progressing, or where is it that we are feeling stuck or whatever. We should become very free and share. The more we share, the more we can receive. And so thank you so much. And maybe today we end in a different way. Umaji, can we give everybody a Dao hand blessing?
Of course, definitely.
We have some Dao hand practitioners.
Yes.
So,
we have Jivanji, Ratanji, Shailaji, Deepaji, Gyanji, Nishiji. Nishiji was there.
I think she has gone.
Okay.
Jivanji
is there.
Jivan has also
there.
left.
No, Jivanji is there.
Jivan is there, okay.
Yeah. So You can ask everyone to make a request.
And Myron is also there.
Yeah, he's there. Maybe he will be off camera.
Okay, it's fine. And Ratanji is there.
Yes.
We give a silent blessing. Umaji,
Yeah, we can give a silent blessing.
silent. So each one of you, those who are the participants here, think of one organ or one system or one situation, one emotional aspect where you would like to receive healing. Just one. Please keep in mind, just make a silent affirmation that I want this particular organ, system, or emotional condition to be healed. And Umaji will just lead us into the blessing.
Yeah, sure. Dear Divine, dear the Tao, dear the Source, dear my beloved Tao hands, love you, honor you, appreciate you. Would you please turn on and offer the most appropriate blessings to every participant on the call for their requests? Please offer the most appropriate blessing. We are so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessing starts. How. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you at our hands, please rest.
Thank you, Umaji. And thank you, everyone. And see you next Tuesday. God bless you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gauri.
Thank you. Thank you.